we got a chance to look at them yesterday, and their defense especially, I think, was really impressive. Granted, against Shopify Rebellion, G2 going to give them a lot of different looks than they maybe saw from Rebellion. But for FaZe, this is a big test for them. Top 4 in every single tournament, but only a couple of grand final appearances. Adding this to this roster, you add him to get more grand finals, and what a start it could be to have the very first regional be that first grand final.
And G2 is going to be that team that FaZe will constantly have to battle through. We're seeing how consistent G2 has been internationally, on LAN, online. They really do it all, and they are the kings of NA as of now. So FaZe, they got a big test ahead of them.
Touch here for first killer, but Atomic in Chicago clean up business in the blue half with a couple of demos. Hasn't done much for G2 just yet, but the first touch is good for Chicago. Right now, both teams trading between the thirds, looking for consistent possession. First killer had a great day yesterday, and he delivers a good pass to Sypical, who rockets his first goal for FaZe.
And this was so nice from first killer. This first touch sets him up to either go for a flip reset or go for that pass. And you could tell the defense was actually reading flip reset, and that extra touch caught Chicago by surprise. What a great pass over to Sypical. That's the dynamic FaZe offense. First killer, not only is he a scoring threat, but he's got that passing ability as well.
All those mix-ups make him a threat no matter where he is on the pitch. Atomic try to get things going here for G2. Need a little bit more than that. This play from Chicago is a good start, get some boost steals, but then the ball just skips through the midfield line. JNaps cut off by first killer, gave FaZe a chance to get set up. Still a battle here in the midfield. No one really coming away the sole victor out of these challenges, but Atomic starting to win a clean one. Chicago also demoed missed on the back end, but JNaps' touch was maybe hoping a teammate would be able to go for that one, but instead just gave up possession to first killer. FaZe are back in the blue, but nobody up for the rebound. Atomic got there first.
A little bit of panic on the G2 defensive line. The misflip from JNaps on the backboard, and now the pressure's still coming in. Atomic! He wasn't in control of his car. It looked like he was hand braking as this shot was coming in. Yeah, and he had just wave dash, dodged a demo, or dodged a bump attempt, and thought he could get back to the ball.
Fortunate for Atomic. Couldn't use that wave landing for the momentum. He ended up going too far out and turning around too far back into the net. Atomic pops this up off the kickoff, but FaZe get a much welcomed insurance goal early. Atomic fake touch for the goal for Chicago. G2 don't waste time.
So smart from G2. They saw Sypical and missed airborne. FaZe, or first killer, also jumped for that, and that double commit really put him out of position. Atomic wasn't going to be able to get a ton of power on that shot, so he leaves it for Chicago. And not only does Chicago get a better shot, but the added misdirection from Atomic made that attack even more effective. Good response from G2.
Atomic drills it forward again, put it back in FaZe territory. G2 gonna build some momentum off of that great play started by Atomic. A first killer alone with the ball. On the reset, and you can't give first killer that much space from midfield.
You saw him fake the flip reset. The defense bought it. Why? Because this is what first killer can do. Atomic trying to jump early, but first killer had him dead to rights. A perfect flip reset.
Atomic, probably more than most players, know all too well what first killer's capable of. Those two played together back when they were both in the bubble for years. They would go through 2v2 tournaments, playing in all the bubble community tournaments together. Now, on two top teams going at it, but first killer, he gets the last laugh on that goal. JNap's gonna try to play this one out. He launches it back downfield.
There's still plenty of time left on the clock. 2 minutes left. It has been an action-packed game one.
Off the backboard. Another look here for FaZe. First killer making it awkward for Atomic. 2, 3 touches, 4 touches, 5, 6. Doesn't matter how many times you're gonna count it. Back over to the corner. Chicago gets it back to JNaps, and G2 can take a quick breath to back to the orange. G2 just haven't had the consistent threat on offense. Only 3 shots on net. 2 of those coming from Chicago. But all of the offense I mean, FaZe don't have that many more shots, but they've certainly controlled the ball a lot more consistently than G2 has. Atomic for a way out to JNaps. He doesn't get the touch. Atomic does. Got the 50. JNaps forces Typical up early. First killer to play it to the corner. Now Chicago bumps up for Atomic. Initial misread, but he recovered on the reset. No pass, broken up. JNaps was expecting a touch. Now FaZe have the turnaround and are retaining the 2-goal lead.
Yeah, you're right, Jorby. A lot of possession here for FaZe. They've been keeping G2 back. We have seen a few good breakout attempts from G2. We've seen plenty of demos as well. And that was one thing I was looking for, especially after the interview from Roll is. Hold on, it's barely a miss from Chicago on that shot. But regardless, the demos haven't really been helping G2 that much. FaZe has been navigating their way around them.
Oh, and Chicago tried to be a little too quick on that ball. First killer cuts them all off. Now Atomic, last man back. Him against First killer. First killer got the 50, and he wins the bout again. Typical with his second.
And JNaps was, he was just behind Atomic, and he could have turned in on that ball and maybe gotten there before, but opted to let Chicago take that challenge. And FaZe, their first two, they have been all over G2. G2 has had no space and no time.
Well, they just can't let First killer come away with that ball when there's two G2 cars committed in midfield. Somebody's got to come up with that touch. You just can't let First killer run away with it and put Atomic in an unfavorable spot on defense again. Now Atomic gets underneath on the first reset, but this is all FaZe in game number 1. Trying to make a statement, setting the tone. G2 have to find a way in, but not in this one. We'll have to try again in game 2.
And with, I think, Mist got 100 points on his last touch of the game to get that ball down to the ground. We'll see at the scoreboard. Nope, he didn't get it. So under 100 points for Mist that game. When Gibbs was saying that Mist was on the same level of points as First killer, which means that you're scoring goals, you're getting a lot of touches, assists, whatever. This goes to show you, it goes to show you, Jorby, how dangerous this FaZe team is, especially when First killer is playing at his peak, at his potential. This game, First killer had 2 impact plays. The fake flip reset pass to Typical, and then the actual flip reset goal. Those are so demoralizing against G2. And this FaZe team, despite losing 3-1 to G2 earlier in this event, they have come out swinging. And if FaZe can keep that level of play up, this could be a quick series. G2 has to respond.
Look, if First killer can just cut rotation and beat your whole team, I'm sure Mist will be happy to get less than 100 points every single game. G2 need to force more of the FaZe team into this rotation. Because right now, it really feels like First killer's just dinking and dunking the ball where he wants to, cutting rotation as he pleases. Now in Aquadome, G2 got to find a way to force more of this FaZe team to sweat. It's typical. Dropping the ball down in front, JNaps puts it across. There have been a couple of attempted passing plays for G2 that were cut up. Maybe some slight miscommunications where you see JNaps pop the ball high, hoping a player can go for it, but they end up giving up possession on that touch because no one can go for it. Either way, G2 got to get it figured out. JNaps stealing the ball in midfield. Maybe gets the touch, but no, Typical plays it just away from him on the attempted dunk.
Yeah, G2 have to dig deep on this one. Important response game. FaZe eager to keep that momentum going, and all eyes on First killer to see if he can keep that level of play up.
Love the idea there from Atomic and JNaps. A little short level passing play, baiting defenders up, and while they're working with a limited boost total right now, they were making life difficult for FaZe. FaZe break out anyway. Missed. He saw daylight, but Chicago finds Atomic on the track, and Typical got the save. First killer plays it straight back down. Oh, FaZe might have been beat on that transition.
And that was almost the trademark G2 counterattack goal. I mean, you just find Atomic camped out at midfield and he blasts it in, but Typical defends it so well. And we've seen FaZe defensively has been on another level. Yesterday we were talking about how the Rebellion, they hadn't been shut out at all, and they got shut out multiple times against FaZe. This FaZe defense is the real deal.
I mean, look how they're defending G2, even though they're getting to the orange hat. They're actually getting a little bit of shot pressure, but then they're all in full retreat. They run out of boost. They're not able to retain the midfield, and FaZe put on some more pressure. That was all Typical. First killer gonna play it hard, but Atomic got a quick clear. Chicago in the air, cut off. too deep of a stretch pass. JNAps hoping to keep it away from Typical, and successful. So James, G2, while the offense petered out, the defense surviving for now, but some of these balls were a little too closely to the net.
Yeah, they have been. JNAps getting shut down. Mist has been set up at the half line, keeping this ball in time after time. Finally, Chicago able to get the ball out of the G2 half, and it is a bounce pass to the middle, but no one there to take the shot.
JNAps gets there just in time. Mist had to blow his way through Chicago. But where FaZe had most of the ball control in the last game, it's been G2 dictating the pace. Even though they have to go back to the blue half, they've done a great job keeping that ball away from FaZe, not letting them get any extended pressure. And there it is again. Quick clear, transition shot denied. FaZe have actually been forced up a couple of times on these saves, namely Typical, who's been doing most of the defending. 5 saves for him. There's the second for Mist. Up high for G2, got it off the 50, and played back to the corner as FaZe try to protect the rock. Chicago bumps Typical off the play. JNAps has to use a lot of boost to recover to the wall, and G2 will slow things down for now. Enough time for FaZe to get out.
Like you said, Typical 5 out of the 8 saves that we've seen so far. Another double commit on the wall. Typical tried to keep that going. We've seen a lot of double commits actually from FaZe, but strangely enough, it hasn't really been haunting them. In a lot of situations, they've actually been able to recover nicely to keep the play going. So this style of play from FaZe, always having that redundant defender, it's been working out quite well, and it has been interesting to watch FaZe as they've kept G2, one of the powerhouse offenses of North America. They've been able to shut them out.
Yeah, they've got nothing. I mean, G2, they do have 8 shots, but you talk about the double commits with FaZe, James. When you got first killer as Typical, or really any combination of these 3 players going for a double commit, one of these players is going to get a decent touch on the ball most of the time, unless they end up running into each other. FaZe, they somehow make double commits look like the right play. It's first killer.
Maybe they are. Maybe they are at that moment.
I mean, he's first killer. I'm not, so he might know better than me. Chicago gets bumped off the play. And FaZe are starting to grab this ball a little bit more. They're getting clears a lot quicker, hanging on to midfield with a little more tenacity. But they're across midfield. FaZe just getting there. Atomic didn't have any boost, but gets to first killer quickly. That could have been deadly.
And Typical with the back pass there. It was brave and it was the right call. Typical speed edging out G2 over and over. Now we see a tactically timed demo from Mist, opening up a double tap. Killer. This was a thing of beauty.
You cannot deny him. When he wants the net, he's gonna find it. Double tap, 1 boost in the tank, just to keep a little for home.
We didn't see many demos out of FaZe. Then you see Mist timing that one. It opens a very, very narrow window. For most people, they cannot make that window work, but this is first killer we're talking about.
Man, first killer yesterday, insane performance. First killer today, insane performance. The song that we're hearing a lot as JNAps looks for the tying goal, but Typical's there to cut it off. G2 are gonna need more pressure than that. Atomic gonna race, maybe get a pass to Chicago, pops it up high, but Mist not gonna bite early. Chicago sets it up, it's played down, and FaZe Clan 2-0 up on G2.
A strong start, and defensively, we're really seeing what FaZe Clan are made of against the G2 team that has appeared unstoppable, even taking down FaZe Clan in the main event Swiss stage. But this FaZe team, I mean, look at the saves. 6 saves for Typical, 10 saves overall. The 1 goal that went in was really a remarkable double tap. You had mentioned how little boost first killer had to work with, and it was just a perfect first touch into a perfect shot, top shelf. It doesn't get better than that, Jorby. It doesn't get better than that.
First killer, dude, that's not fair, bro. It's just, James, how can it be? G2's calling a timeout. G2's calling a timeout, and they're like, okay, guys, how do we find a way to remove first killer's PC from his home? Is there any way to do this?
Well, I mean, do you think they're talking strategy, or are you thinking like they're saying, hey guys, we might be able to catch a late lunch with how this is going? Where do you want to go?
I mean, at this point, I think G2, if any team is going to recover off of this, they can, right? But with how FaZe look right now, I mean, it's going to be hard. Like Typical, especially James, like not just on defense, because it's not just the saves, right? It's never just the saves in Rocket League, but it's being able to protect the ball and not let G2 take more shots afterwards. They were so good at getting the save and immediate clear. Could G2 go back? They had to go back to the blue half every time to boom the ball back downfield and try again. But FaZe were always there. And when you can't actually mount contiguous pressure onto FaZe's half, you're never going to get by. And Typical's just going to rack up those save points and get another MVP.
Yeah, it seems like an impossible task. I mean, somebody says, what do you do? Well, if forfeiting's not allowed, I guess you just have to sit and wait for it all to be over. If FaZe has been dominant. They have been absolutely dominant. And my question is, can First Killer specifically, can he keep playing at this level offensively? Because that one goal, the only goal we saw was such a difficult shot to make. I think even for First Killer, most of the time, he's not going to hit that shot perfectly. It was so difficult. And that was the difference. So G2, they didn't score. They have not scored much. I think they've only scored a single time. But FaZe, they have just been, they have been proving to everybody what they're made of. And honestly, Jorby, I feel so wrong. Every prediction that I've made so far, even the grand finals FaZe predictions, I feel like I am just going to be wrong all year. It has not been a good start. It has not been a good start. FaZe is that good.
Well, FaZe, they've had a good start. And you saw Roldiz in the cam. He was vibing, had the hood up. He's having a great time. He's like, I'm big chilling. When First Killer playing the way he is, I can hear Roldiz from the whole way back here. Man, you guys are nuts.
It looked like he was laughing.
He was giggling.
Out, so, yeah.
I mean, with the way they've been playing, I'd be giggling too, let's be honest. Atomic, what a pass though to J-Naps, and he's denied! It doesn't matter!
It's saved, and there was no follow-up. I mean, that was a juicy rebound, and Chicago is all the way downfield. Now Miz will go towards net rebound. Oh. It's tipped by Chicago. Atomic desperately trying to get it out. FaZe, they smell blood in the water.
That was a desperate move from Atomic too, because Typical almost got him bumped off the play. Barely recovered. There's 2 touches, and J-Naps. Oh, call on the knapsack to put G2 on the board.
And Chicago sets this up. J-Naps, that touch. You saw Mist was trying to deny that option. Wanted to get up early, but could not make the read. That is exactly what G2 needed. That double tap puts G2 into the game.
That feels real good, considering how locked down FaZe were for the last 7-8 minutes of play. And missed. And even before that, G2 were able to score in game 1. Now they got to keep it going. First Killer. Force 2 to commit. Atomic trying to cover the extra option. It's more G2 defense. Atomic lobs it up, but the follow-ups just aren't fast enough. Now Atomic does shuffle his way to Chicago. This can be a chance for G2 to get all set up. Look at Typical. Kept the ball close. Forced J-Naps to get the 50 against him. J-Naps, to his credit, won it nicely. Atomic. A bit of an awkward spot for Mist. He got the touch. Now an extended pressure for G2. What can they do with it? Well, Atomic and J-Naps get tied up. They left Chicago all by himself. He does make the grab, but he's only got 0 boost. And Atomic gets there in time. Wow. If that wasn't a panic retreat from G2, I don't know what would be. Now Atomic's just missed the ball, and J-Nap's gonna get there. First Killer wasn't expecting it.
Oh, and there's an off-ball demo from Mist. Mist trying to get around it. Oh. Rebound to the middle, and it doesn't connect, but that off-ball demo play for Mist almost working out. Now the infield passing, the delay shot, it's pitched out. First Killer with the save.
He can do no wrong. Mist, that was a beautiful setup. He got First Killer to bite hard laterally across the goal line. Usually you can hop that ball above the player when they're going so fast laterally, but First Killer still gets an edge on that ball. It bounces off the inside of the post, and FaZe, what would have been a big 2-goal lead for G2 is now within scoring distance for First Killer. And here he comes, marching down the field, and he forces J-Naps an own goal.
And First Killer tying things up. That flip reset, catching people's eye. Surprise, you saw the panic on J-Nap's face. Atomic had the easy clear. Oh, that is disastrous for G2.
G2. Not what you want at all. First Killer, deleted. Missed with a bomb. How do you recover now? You've given FaZe the life that they needed. Missed. Start things on the catch. Only 3 shots, James, for FaZe. And the 4th from J-Naps. There's a great pass from First Killer. He's dinking, he's dunking, and Typical is scoring. FaZe with the lead.
I mean, do we even need to play the rest of the games out? Typical dropping that one in. First Killer, though, feeding typical. That ball, first killer, has been all over the field.
He's dropping bills everywhere.
He
He's getting rich.
He looks like the best player in North America, if not the world, with how he's playing in this series.
The man cannot be stopped anywhere you find him. Typical. What a nice carry. Look, he wants to put matters into his own hands. It's Typical. A beautiful pirouette right into G2's heart.
Typical off the wall, pushing it out. It's a literal 1v3. When you look up 1v3, Jorby, whether it's on Wikipedia, online, anywhere, that play should come up.
Oh, man, that's right up there with all the classic Justin 1v3s. Your first killer. Popped and saved by Chicago. G2 took that timeout. They scored the first goal of this game. It looked like how many timeouts with the results that you get. Maybe a game win for G2. Maybe they find a way to swing momentum their way. But then an unfortunate forced own goal by JNaps, forced by first killer, completely changed the makeup of game 3. Now FaZe in position to put G2 on ice this early.
This is something else, Jorby.
I mean,
we are seeing FaZe play at a level that we have not seen them play at online. I feel like this against G2 to do what they're doing shows the potential of this team.
I'm thinking the whole way back to the pre-show when it was asked how many FaZe Grand Finals will they make, and Achieves put up one finger, and he said the rest of NA is too good. FaZe are only going to make one grand. With the way FaZe are looking right now, I think there's way more than a single grand in their future. Adding Mist to this roster, they wanted that to be the next step. And apparently adding Mist only unlocked more of first killer, which is, I didn't know that there was more to unlock, but here we are. First killer, putting on an absolutely dominant performance. Oh, by the way, Typical, he's been having a nice complimentary game as well, but move back downfield. No time left for G2. They got to score with some time left. Otherwise, they're down 0-3 in a best of 7.
And for G2, this is difficult. I mean, it almost feels hopeless. They have tried everything, and nothing seems to work. Nothing seems to stick. Whereas FaZe, just any FaZe player can kick it into high gear and solo play. We saw Typical literally 1v3. We saw a picture-perfect double tap last game. Now a picture-perfect 1v3. This FaZe Clan team, they look unstoppable.
I haven't seen Sip look this good in years. It's been literally years since I've seen Sip look this good. And I thought Sip looked pretty good at the World Championship, but there's something different in the water on this FaZe Clan team. It really, dude, this World Disc buff is real, dude. I can't.
I mean,
pick up Mist added Costello. Corelli's right. I mean,
It's more than just one buff. I mean, we're talking about, Nick Costello buff. We got Roldiz buff. There's so many buffs coming in. It's like they're going into a 40-man raid or something. But no, all it takes is 3 to take down the boss of North America. FaZe is doing it. They're taking G2 down right now. G2, they have some life left, but what do you do against a FaZe team that is playing this well? I think one thing you can do is certainly clean up those slight mistakes. We saw JNaps with the own goal. That really did seem like the turning point for G2, who had bounced back early on, but after that own goal, things continued to fall apart.
Maybe if they start connecting on some of their demos more often, that's something that FaZe have done really well, and something you pointed out earlier too, James, was G2, they're not going away from the physical game, but FaZe are just avoiding everything. And to be able to consistently avoid those demos, I mean, that's so hard.
Jordan, game 1, they weren't avoiding the demos.
Oh, you're right, they weren't. And they still won.
It doesn't even matter if you connect or not. Exactly.
You're right, I'm sorry.
It's tough. It's a tough day at the office for G2.
Not something I thought I'd be saying today. The FaZe, they've set themselves up real nicely with about the most cushion you can possibly hope for. And with all the confidence to boot, Chicago just going to launch that ball downfield. There's no one may be able to follow that up. Now JNaps left alone. Got a decent touch. FaZe might have got caught out here. G2, Chicago pick up the first goal.
And this is something that G2 does better than any other team in North America, is those quick turnaround counterattack goals, whether it's Atomic or Chicago hanging out at the midfield, hitting that pass up and pulling the trigger right away before the defense can rotate back. We saw Atomic almost do it earlier in this series. This time, Chicago able to get that goal. So things starting to look up for G2, but immediately off kickoff, things getting precarious. Atomic will clear it out, but a scary moment right after the goal for G2.
He forces 2 in the air, James. The net was defended, and Atomic was so scared that his teammate was going to get bumped that he jumped in the way just to make sure. But he actually almost put them in a worse spot. Now just misses the ball, or he doesn't miss the ball, but he misses the net. And that was about the best look he could get in the first minute. That one taken away. It's typical. Driving the ball over for G2 now, Chicago. Trying to get in the way of mist. Atomic keeping the ball close. JNaps is off for boost, so Atomic has to protect the ball himself. Did enough on the 50. G2, or Chicago and Atomic run into each other, and it ended up being a dead ball. JNaps' attempted flick defended, FaZe back on offense.
And that was the right idea from JNaps to take the time there. The flick just wasn't high enough to get over that first defender. G2, you can tell they're feeling a little more comfortable, but it seems so fragile. I don't know if G2 can keep this FaZe team at bay. We'll find out.
Downfield, he's got the redirect. Oh, what a save from Mist, and the rebound denied. Oh, Mist. Wait, here's another one. JNaps, that shot not going to be defended this time. Knapsack delivers the second.
And G2 gaining that confidence. Things starting to look up for G2. It was a nice pass from Atomic. The speed from Typical, able to get it by a FaZe defense that has seemingly been able to get their fingertips on almost every ball, but this time it goes just past, and now we see a 2-goal lead, potentially a 3. The flick will be saved, but still, lovely pressure from G2. This is the response that they needed.
Gotta stop first killer. He's behind the ball. 2 touches, wide angle. None of FaZe were ready. Still getting set up in midfield. A 2-goal lead is the most dangerous lead in Rocket League. Especially with how FaZe have been looking. I think G2 would be happy to find a third, but here's first killer. Dropped a little too far below the ball. JNaps might get that third down for Chicago, but he's downfield. Got the bump on Typical. Typical gets deleted, and JNaps puts it right in FaZe.
And it looked like first killer might have been trying to use the flip reset to go for a bump, but it didn't work out. But a bump that did work out was Chicago lead blocking, getting a bump into a demo, paving the path for JNaps to easily stroll along it. And this is now a dominant game for G2.
And a little bit more comfortable of a lead. FaZe, a nice little catch from first killer. Looking for Typical downfield. Pass cut off. Atomic had enough boost, but pass back to Sip. Light touch. First killer can't get the dunk. Chicago keeps him out. Missed. Pop shot. Missed. Goal!
And it's not over yet. This was immense pressure. You saw first killer trying to go for the dunk there. Typical bumping Atomic off the line. A scrappy goal for FaZe. They are finding any way to score, but they trail by 2. G2 has been having a heck of a response so far this game. They're going to need to close this out. A demo on Atomic. Opens up space. Good first touch from Typical. Side flips off the ball. Pitch goes high. That is not what FaZe Plan was planning.
It was not the FaZe plan, for sure. Atomic pushing that one forward, and now it's awkward for Typical. He makes the grab that's missed, and as bad as it looks, as long as you get the clear, it doesn't really matter. Now, Chicago, breakaway. Goes for the bump, missed it. JNaps rebound. Goal for G2. They get the 3 goals back.
And that's a hat trick now for JNaps. Chicago taking the space, trying to go for the fake flick. He did get stopped by Typical, but it was a good stop, actually. It set up that shot for JNaps. And I like what we're seeing from G2. They're starting to slow the play down, recognize when FaZe does give them space, and then taking that space. We saw JNaps doing it earlier. We saw Chicago do it right there. And that really is a testament to the mental fortitude of G2. It's very easy to start panicking and you start to play rushed Rocket League. But no, G2 happy to slow it down, and it was the right call this game.
Oh, the dunk and a beautiful touch in response. G2 looking a little better here in game number 4. Atomic pushing it across. He's going to get another goal. And FaZe now left to go back to the drawing board. Got caught out a little too much there. Typical, not the touch he wanted. Then he got deleted right after. Atomic left with an open net. And G2 now can relax.
And There's a perfect smoke bomb to prevent the defense from even seeing Atomic turn on that ball. And this is the type of game you want for G2. I think you're going for the Brazil. You keep scoring because you want to put FaZe into the dirt, but FaZe will get a late goal here. I think everybody knows that this game is pretty much over, but hey, you know, we've seen some pretty crazy last-second goals happen.
Be careful, James. I'm just saying, you've been with me when I've called games early.
It's true.
You never know.
I mean, it is.
They have to say they have a chance. Well, I don't think they do, but JKnapp's going to protect the ball. FaZe off the back wall, but typical. Actually going to be given a whiff. No,
hold on.
He's there.
Hold on.
Okay.
All right.
I see it. I see the possibilities now. 22 seconds, 11 seconds per.
Even if they don't come back and win this game, though, this is a great ending to the game for FaZe. They're going to take this and run with it. G2 up 5-1 at one point. FaZe just going to say, I chalked it up to just a bad game. It was unlucky. And then roll on. Whereas G2, even then, they would have had a more positive win mentally.
Sorry, James. I thought
you are on the Hokie.
It was well defended. There's not enough time left for FaZe. Attempted comeback thwarted. G2 prevent the sweep and start a journey of their own as we head to game 5.
G2, very strong game, especially from JKnapp's. JKnapp's a hat trick this game. It was well fought by G2, taking the space that FaZe was giving them, slowing the ball down when they could. FaZe, they showed that they do have cracks in the armor. That defense is not impervious. 5 total goals for G2 when they have been tough to come by. You can see the smiles on JKnapp's face now.
Absolutely. So what's the comeback here for FaZe? How do you get around G2 after they so effectively trounced you in midfield? They actually caught you out on rotation more than a couple of times. Is it just a simple positioning thing for FaZe, or where are you feeling like the pulse is right now?
Well, I just think we have to see if G2 continues to make these adjustments. You might have to amp up the demos. We saw demos not really being utilized heavily by FaZe. There was the one missed demo that opened up that crazy double tap window, but we haven't really seen much of it. So if G2 continues to have success, I would expect to see more demos on the FaZe Clan side.
Atomic gonna get the catch off the kickoff, and we'll see if G2 can keep things going. If Statue can keep those vibes alive on the G2 team. Typical comes across it. Now G2 just waiting to see how FaZe play this defense. Atomic, good read on the pass from FaZe. All the G2 forced back. I don't think anyone really had booster comfort, and first killer. He marches down the field. He says, Wasteland is my map. Look at Mist rolling, hoping he can get a bumper or something. Atomic in the area, but was he really in position?
Just save the replay. If you want to see how to perfectly play defense, that first touch that he had off the ground, like he had to side flip low and time that bounce to perfectly get that hard hit up off the ceiling. That first touch was so crazy. And then to get the perfect double tap on the follow-up, he plays like a robot. It seems like these are shots that have been programmed into stuff. It doesn't seem like a human could be that perfect on the shot. That was such a good executed play, or well-executed play from first killer. Jaw dropping.
Amazing how incredible first killer has been, will continue to be, but G2 still get things going. I like how Atomic looked on their last push, but now he's just completely missed the ball, and first killer's laughing the whole way to the net.
And you can see JKnapp's a little too slow. Atomic went all in on that touch. When he doesn't make it, it is a routine goal. If first killer's hitting shots like the last one, you give him an open net, there's no way he'll miss that. Easy goal, and now a 2-goal lead. FaZe, they started to respond late, and now they keep that momentum going here in what could be the final game of the series.
Yeah, Atomic, this type of player, he never misses those backboards. Chicago, gonna lost the ball downfield, but every time you march it into a FaZe player, it's a catch, it's a dribble, it's a can you win this 50? And Atomic can't even get to the 50. It's typical, racing back, gonna steal the boost. Hit the brakes hard. JNaps makes the pass work. Once the bump, his teammate gets deleted on the wing. Now missed. Bumps it up, but nothing there for FaZe. Oh, first killer. 2 high touches. And we saw him do that early on, too. I feel like we're just harping on first killer the entire series, but when he's facilitated both typical and Mist being successful on offense and has several times taken matters into his own hands, it's hard to ignore saying his name all the time. He just always finds himself behind the ball.
You have to give credit where credit is due. If you go back and watch this series and you look at the plays first killer has made, it's justified. He has been playing a step above everybody else. He really has. The clips that he's made, even that defensive stop there from the ceiling. This is one of those series that first killer, now a double flip reset.
Oh.
I mean, he's in free play out there.
That's how you know. He literally just stopped looking at blue cars. He's freestyling. Chicago.
Oh my! Now first killer, that's illegal! Psyonix, somebody do something! This cannot keep happening! You cannot have professional games of Rocket League and have this happen in front of us! Nobody, this should be, I'm sorry, if you're a kid, turn your Twitch off right now, okay? This is not good. This is not good.
If I didn't know for certain that hacks were impossible to program like that, I would start to wonder. I would start to be curious about first killer, but no, he is just that good. Now another chance. First killer off the bar.
And really not hamming this kid up, I promise. Oh my God. There's another one. Hi, he knows Atomic is there, froze him. And Mist is there. I'm sorry, James. I think I cut in on the rest of your point there. You were saying.
I mean, there is no more point that I really had to make. First killer. You think he's hacking, but no, he's just that good.
First killer has had his way with G2. Now with a minute 35 left, needs some magic to keep this series going. Atomic drills underneath the first player, typical. We talked a little bit about him as well, James. He had a nice 1v3 play, but how about him? That was a nice little good ball handling there from Typical on the
I
ball.
appreciate you trying to bring in some credit for first killer's teammates in the team. He's sitting at 715 points.
Oh wait, Typical's got 181.
Are still trying to get 200. He's got 3 goals. in the goals that we saw, this is first killer's game.
First killer, you missed that one. Washed.
Yeah, he missed
Completely
the save
washed.
there. So
Washed.
it is
He's
still
done.
a chance for G2, but this has been first killer's game. Let's be real.
First killer thought Atomic was going to get that bump onto him, tried to jump and avoid him. And yeah, I guess if your teammates have less than 200 points, you can claim 1v3, right? That's how it works. That's how my ranked teammates operate. First killer. Trying to get back to this
It
ball.
looks like
Chicago
first
thinks it
killer
around.
is playing in a lobby with those people.
It does. But hang on, G2
I'm not
got pressure here.
disrespecting G2. I really am not.
No, they got pressure here. Yeah.
That is how good first killer has been.
First killer gets in the way. JNaps has to wait. His approach is blocked by Typical. Atomic's got the catch. Good pass to Chicago. Got the fake. Chicago denied by first killer. Drilling through. You're not good enough to get through one. That's a good 50 from JNaps. And Atomic inched probably a little too close to that ball. Had to pull back a little bit. Wants the bump. He doesn't get it. Mist is there. G2, they spend some time in the orange half, but they just can't find the net. And they need a goal with just some time left. Chicago, nothing. First killer's there. Lands on JNaps. Missed downfield, has to field it to Atomic. And James, there's no time left. FaZe Clan with one more to boot for Typical with 2 seconds. It's all but done now. FaZe moving on to play Gen G in the grand finals.
As Typical said, there's no way I'm scoring less than 200 points. Let me get one. And so he puts it in. You know, look back on the score report of this one and be like, oh yeah, Typical definitely was helping out. But I mean, first killer, this was just one of those series. It was one of those games where you really see him break out of his shell and play at his peak. I think you can safely say that, Jordy.
I absolutely agree with you, James. Roldiz is currently saying, yo, first killer, however you did that, do it all the time. Thanks. That's what I was telling him.
Well, it is tough, right? Because you can't always play at that level. That was unbelievable. It was unbelievable how well, and I mean, it was.
I feel like first killer more than most players could probably play at that level.
but that consistently, to consistently play at that level is almost impossible. But one thing that you can point to is it really was a team effort from FaZe over the course of the entire series. We saw great defensive stops in the first games. Typical always being there when First Killer was trying to get those passes out to the mid. This is a FaZe Clan team that is playing better than we've ever seen. And so if this team doesn't win against Gen G, then, you know, it would be shocking with how well they play. But Gen G has been playing out of their minds as well. And so now we're just going to have to wait and see how this grand final shakes out.
The first North American regional of the season is an international matchup. Gen G with apparently Jack, Nolly, and Chronic gonna be taking on FaZe Clan. First Killer, Typical, and Mist. You do not want to miss what's gonna happen in that match. That after the break.